Yeah, yeah, you know that I hate being alone, yeah. 아침에 이놈만 생각하는데 난 원래 질투만 하는데 You looking so fly again 난 친구 사이 남아서 We better be better friends, oh no We better be better friends Oh, 이러면 되는데 Oh, 겁이 많아도 I'm taking all my chances, babe I've been wondering 시간 되는지 5시간 차이 나도 You're my queen I've been going all through my phone, yeah 문장 많은지 알고 싶어서, yeah You've been calling, hitting on my line, babe 이젠 잊으러 하기 싫어져
You always hit me on my line, baby. I was thinking about you all day lately. You got me feeling so damn wavy. Take a couple pulls of you daily. You're never all alone, alone. You're never all alone, alone, alone. You're never all alone, alone.
And there we are. Welcome to another episode of the Reefing Report. Yes, Mark is a happy man. He is wiping away. Look at him. He is flipping out. Look at that.
I got a
Yes.
special edition one, and it works twice as good as the last one.
There you go. I'm glad you could join us, Mark. I'm glad you could join us.
Thank you. Thanks for the hookup there, T. Fugazi.
You
I
are
appreciate it.
welcome.
I'm going to stick that right there.
You are more than welcome. Well, it's another great edition of the Reefing Report. Thank all of you for joining us. That would be everybody from Reggie Perriman to Farm Frags to Rosano, Reef Automation, of course. We've got Sean Clark. We've got all kinds of people, in the house tonight. And I am broadcasting from the RV, from the parking lot, okay, at the event center here in Atlanta, Georgia, where I just came out of the trade show, the MACNA Aquatic Expo. And Mark, I know we both have thoughts on this. Let's hold them, until later in the show. We'll cover some other news. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. Let's roll with that and talk about stuff that was pertinent of the week. Because look, I mean, the Aquatic Expo was at the end of the week, so we'll go in chronological order.
I'll buy that. We'll do it that way. So I wonder if we've got anybody here from Facebook, because I'm not seeing any Facebook comments coming through right now. So if we're on Facebook, I don't know why the comments aren't coming through, but it happens sometimes, and there's not much I can do about it. So I'm only seeing the YouTube comments so far. So, but it is pretty cool, Patrick Jewell is here, and he says, modern technology, it's amazing, isn't it? It absolutely is. I'm running off of my phone, so if I do run out of, bytes or megabytes or gigabytes or batteries or anything else, well, so be it. But so far, so good, and we're doing pretty good. So, news of the week. Let's kick over to our little website. Once again, just so you guys know, a little bit of housekeeping to start out with too. Obviously, we do this live stream every week on Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is connected to an actual website called reefingreport.com. And that's where we put up our curated links of what we think are hot or interesting topics for the week. So if you're not familiar, if you came here and you're not yet familiar with the website, please go out and check out the website, put it, a bookmark up, check it out, every day, see what's new. And on top of that, you can always click at the top there, catch up on the old live streams that we've done. There's lots of really cool content in there. If you think it's really awesome, we love all of our Patreons, right? Right, Mark?
Absolutely.
We really do. And they actually chose that music. And you guys out there who are Patrons, give me some more ideas out on our Facebook group. We have a private Facebook group out there where any of the Patreon members can ask Mark and I questions and interact with Mark and I out there. And we also have a tip line. where we have the latest. You can give us any kind of tips you want.
1-800. This is the Reefing Report. What's your tip?
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Talk to
So,
a real operator.
so it's a two-part thing. That's all I wanted to get to for people, is that it is a website that's combined with the live stream, and they complement each other. And enough of that. So let's see
So-
what's up out on the Reefing Report right now.
Sid has a pertinent question since you're in the RV. He wants to know, when are you going to wrap your RV with the Reefing Report?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So I actually will have not a full wrap, but I'll probably either have perforated window graphics, or I will have some vinyl on the back or the side or what have you that will be for the Reefing Report. Also, my other channel that I'm actually here collecting content for, which is Real Reefing. So that one will be also on the RV. And then my RV channel, which is RV for Freedom, with the number 4, RV for Freedom. And so yeah, I will have, some vinyl on the coach, because that enables me to also have some tax advantages. So it is kind of
The
important.
real story.
Yes,
Now for the inside story, he's just doing it for the tax break.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but I love all you guys, and it's a byproduct. So Farm Frag says just use duct tape and a marker. So there you go.
It's a little nicer coach than that, I have to say, Farm Frags. If we put duct tape on this thing, it'd be like, what the heck is that? I've been in there. It's plush. I've been in there twice. I mean, but I think I had more fun driving the tow behind vehicle than I did in the RV. But
That's
a different
right.
story.
That is another story. Well, let's still warm up with that one, and then we'll come back to the rest of the Macna stories. So, it's a 35-foot diesel pusher, so it can pull a lot of things by. In fact, if I wanted it to, it could pull our Dodge Ram and still make it up the hills. But I, in 2003, bought a Mini Cooper S that I bought. I love that car, and I never got rid of it. Yeah. Yes. And, absolutely. And guess what? It made a great tow car. So after I got another vehicle and it just kind of sat there, I started towing it behind my other RV, the one I had before this one. And so on this road trip, I tow it behind that. And then I got here and realized, wow, parking is such a pain everywhere here in Atlanta. And Mark and I were trying to figure out how to go to dinner. And I said, well, I've got a car, but in order for us to take
I don't want
it,
to drive.
I don't want to drive, number one. And number two, you and Steve are too big to fit in the back. And Mark's like, I'll drive it. And I'm like, you drive stick? Because nowadays you gotta ask, right? I mean, you just can't assume, right?
That's the first thing I did when I got to learn his permit. Stick shift.
Yeah, no doubt. So Mark got to sit up front and do the short throw 6-speed shifter on my little Mini Cooper S.
The best is the reverse, that's down and up. I've always loved that. That's like a true car. Anyway.
Yeah, so it's
But we took the Mini Cooper and we went and we got, I'm gonna say it, the best sushi I've ever had. Period. By a mile.
Okay.
I will go with that.
I will go with, it's in my top 10. It's definitely really good. Was it 8 sushi, or what is it called? 8 something sushi? The number 8?
8 Lounge.
8
Club.
Lounge.
Yep.
8 Lounge or something like that.
We'll find it.
It's in downtown Atlanta. It was really good. The wait was atrocious. But we,
8 Sushi Lounge.
Yeah,
it was worth it.
We muscled through it. And the 4 of us, Nancy, myself, Mark, and Steve, had a great meal there. And if Mark thought that was great, when I eventually in Vegas, we go to Zuma in Vegas and have omakase in that place, then you're allowed to say it'll be the best I've ever had.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well.
So back to the news. These guys heard enough of that.
Exactly, right? Like which
you brought it up.
Sid says you've lost 10 points since you're a Dodge guy. So I guess take 10 points from me as well, Sid, because I'm a Dodge guy as well. But we'll leave that alone. This isn't a car stream. We're talking about reefing and speaking of nice meals and expensive things, the Acropora striata, the as I put in the headline, the acro that Terence might pay full price for, and he looked at it before the stream and said, he didn't say yes, but I think he would pay full price for this thing. I would like start throwing bills. Whoever can get me this thing.
It is
gorgeous.
amazing. It is fantabulous. I don't know exactly how to explain it. I'm kind of thinking maybe this thing is a one of those doctored up photos. I mean, there is quite a bit of sharpening on this photo. I can tell you that right off the get-go, okay? But it is really, oh no, the word I used was redonkulous. That was the word. So if any of you guys got a hookup, I've got another story coming later that I figured out how to get my corals shipped out more easily, and we're going to talk about that. But one thing on this coral, do you see what I see in the morphology of those coralites?
I was about to ask you the same thing, and we'll mention that, and then we'll discuss if it's really, I don't want to say important, but does that tell you anything about the health of the coral if you're seeing what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing recessed and curved over coralites. Often I see this with red bugs. I see these kind of deformed coralites in that scenario, or you see it in some sort of element, issue in the tank. That's what I often see. You can also see it sometimes with a high nitrate level as well. What are your thoughts?
Zero polyp extension.
Yeah, that I definitely see, and that also leads me to red bugs, which I didn't really zoom in and look at it. But if you have zero polyp extension and you have let's see if I can pull up let's open image in the new tab, and let's see if I can find a way to zoom in. Yeah, here we go. So you see, can you see my arrow? Yeah, I guess you can. See that polyp right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like.
And you see that polyp right there? You see how they're kind of curved over and in? So I have had red bugs more than once in another aquarium, not the 425 that I have now. And what I would find often is there's a little bump right down there. See that little one right down there? I don't know what that is. What I find is that the red bugs irritate the polyps and make them not want to come out, and then they also end up, because of that, start affecting the morphology of the coralite. There's a little dot here too. I don't know. It's possible, but that's where I would go first on this one. But it's a beautiful coral, nonetheless.
No, and I agree. I would love to get it. Not every coral has polyp extension. Certainly, like Hawkins Inchinata doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't. Does that? Besides, if it wasn't red bugs, do you get concerned if a coral doesn't have any polyp extension?
I don't get super, because if they do at night, then they're normal. If they don't during the day, I don't really have an issue. And some people anecdotally would say that if they're out during the day and it's not, like you're not loading the tank with food at that particular time and they happen to be out, it actually can be because they are trying to feed more because of other issues with being able to get energy from zooxanthellae or other things that they're, it's even more of a feeding response. But farm frags, well, he must be a coral fragger because it says farm frags, right? He says it's a flow thing. So that's possible too. Absolutely, 100%. I'm just giving like really quick. That's what I would be looking at with those weird. I mean, even those mashed ones. If you look in the middle, just above middle, there's like these mashed coralites there. That's the kind of thing that I look at. But the coral's beautiful, and if any of you guys have it out there, we got to make a deal because it's definitely cool. Definitely.
Yeah. Let's take a quick poll here of the audience. What do we? 1/2 inch to 1 inch frag. What do you think asking price is going to be?
Yeah, if you didn't peek.
15 seconds. Throw
if
your
you didn't peek. If you didn't peek already. And okay, there's your 10-15 seconds. There's nobody, so it's a little delay maybe.
No one wants to say. All right, we'll go back to that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that one. But there's the rest of the colony. 250, 1,500, 275, 400. Jeremy says 3,500.
3,500 bones.
$3,000. Oh my gosh.
How much was the home wrecker? Is the home wrecker that much still?
That's crazy.
What was the home wrecker? I don't even remember what it was in the peak.
And can you imagine this? You get this thing home, and it's like it's been totally tweaked with lighting and everything else to get these colors to happen. You get it home, and it turns into like a purple, you know.
Well, Farm Frags did point out that that egg crate is blue.
Oh, there's no doubt. That's a good call, too. The egg crate's blue. There's a bunch of other weird artifacting that's happening. So there's definitely a little bit of manipulation here, but it's still probably really cool. Did they give you the price in this
cool.
article? I can't remember.
No, they did not. And I would buy it. I would probably take the jump and give this thing a whirl.
For what? How much? Where's your limit?
I think it would go for more than 500, but I would spend 500 on that. That would be my limit.
Wow, you're a better man than me. I'd let you spend 500.
Just trying to support America, Terrence.
I'd let you buy 500, and when in the P cup one coralite breaks off, I'd take that for 20 off of you.
Oh, I remember the days of the old Reef Club in Austin. Anyway, that's a different story. Okay.
Okay, so it says HW was $1,500 for a nub when it home wrecker when it came out. So.
Okay.
So
we should go follow up on that. Let's try to find out if we can get one.
Absolutely. Okay. What's the next story, Mark, that you want to hit on?
Oh, I definitely got to talk about growing these things. Lots of people would be like, well, I'm not ready to try SPS, or I would never attempt that coral until I'm at a certain point, until I feel the tank is ready. So then the idea came up on reefs.com this week of Reef Mentoring. And I said, is that going to help you? Or is it the blind leading the blind, or just leading you down a horrible path? Because there's no certification process. Like, it's not like it's a doctor, or anyone. Like, how do you know this person is legit? I guess the best you can do is look at their tank and then make a judgment call if they know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So the way I get there is, what's their tank look like now? What did it look like 2 years ago? Okay. Because they've got to run it for some time, and then you want to see that there's actually been progress, and that they have some of the same stuff in there now that they had 2 years ago. So it's not like they changed everything out or whatever, like they're, freshwater planted tank guys or whatever, and the reefs I'm talking about. You see these on there all the time, where they've got it looks like it's floating out there, and it's got 17 super Crayola colonies all over it, like a box of crayons, and it's bare bottom, and it might be like 60 gallons or 75 gallons, and you're looking at it going, yeah, right, that grew in there.
Yeah.
And it's been doing it. And I'm not saying that somebody doesn't have one where they're an expert and they tend to that thing like a baby. That doesn't happen, but that's not the norm,
No. And that's a good point about where was it and where is it now? Because if you took a snapshot of any reef, even our reefs, and put it up there, that's one, literally millisecond in time. You don't know really where it is or what it took to get there.
Right.
Like, that's going to tell me more about it than. And then, okay, so here's the side question. If someone's got a baller softy tank, are you going to give them more weight than someone who's got a baller SPS tank?
Yeah, so that's the next thing I was going to touch on. First, Burnt Squirrel said you have to look and see if they have the new flipper on their tank before it's actually released. That's how you make the determination.
We got to give props to Burnt Squirrel for two reasons. One, if he types that out every time he logs in, he's got to copy and paste that kind of login. And two, he's here every week giving some fantastic comments. So props to you, Burnt.
Definitely.
If we had a Reefing Report hat.
I know. I got to get on that. But okay, so my thing with this is, if you're going to emulate or ask somebody to mentor you, when you look at that tank that they have, what you want to do is say, this is the tank that I want to have, okay? It can't be, they're doing a great SPS tank. Can you tell me how to do, I really don't want all that. It's a lot of hassle to have SPS. Can you tell me how to do like a lot of euphyllias and elegance corals and you know, heliofungia and all of these. Can you tell me how to do a tank like that? Because you just defeated the purpose there. So then the next thing is that when they tell you which direction to go, that they got to their tank and the methodologies and everything, you can't a la carte decide what you're going to pick out of that recipe because it suits your budget, because it's not cool or it is cool, because of whatever, whatever it may be. You have to do what they tell you to do, right? I mean, it's not,
Yep.
yeah. And that's really hard for a lot of people because they love the freedom of like all the things I can possibly do, all the fish I could possibly buy, all the corals I could buy, all this cool gear that I could possibly get. But the last thing I'll say on this mentoring thing is I am a product of Reef Mentoring in what I do. Absolutely a product of that. I started with a saltwater aquarium clear back in 1985. I only had it for a year. And it was during my senior year of high school. And from then until 2008, I didn't have a single aquarium, not one. And I met Dave Anderson at the place I work, which is DCA 22 Anderson. I think that's his out on Reef to Reef. He is an insane aquarium guy. He's just got saltwater on the brain. And he had a 750-gallon aquarium at that time, reef tank with a lot of big fish and fish that shouldn't be in a reef. And I said, that is awesome, Dave. Can you help me figure out how to get into this hobby again and hold my hand and help me? If I go like buy a used setup, that you'll help me. And he stepped in, helped me bring it home, helped me set it up, showed me what to do, was there whenever I had any issue or questions or anything like that. And I would not be where I am today, right, in the hobby as a hobbyist or as a person in the industry if it were not for Dave Anderson as a mentor. So there you go.
Well, I think you're important about you have to do what they say, though, is important. I mean, if you went to physical therapy or you went to your doctor and they're like, okay, you need to do these exercises to make your shoulder better because you had shoulder surgery, and you're like, oh, I don't like that. I'm just going to do this one, and there you go.
Yeah.
Like I came to you but I'm going to curate your advice.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
oh.
Yeah, exactly. You have to subjugate yourself to them, right? They are the expert. You are being mentored. So when you make decisions, you ask them what they think, and then you take their advice. And one day, you will be able to be like Mark or myself and give that back to somebody else. So in that respect, I do like it. And I think your question that you started this discussion on is the best one ever, which is like, how do I pick somebody? Because just because they have a reef tank or just because they've been doing it for 2 years or 4 years, I know a lot of people that have not mastered this thing in 2, 4, or 5 years. And you do not want to emulate their aquarium. I mean, might be some of the nicest people I've ever met. They just, for whatever reason, haven't mastered it.
Yep. Yeah. And then I'm wondering, okay, I mean, one of advice that Terence and I both give is leave the thing alone. Don't fiddle with it. If we were your mentor, and maybe not our first advice, but one of our big pieces of advice is leave it alone. Like, wait a minute. I mean, it's one of those like, that's very valuable advice. And even though the advice is do nothing, you don't need a check sheet of things to do. Those things help. And one of the first things to do on the check sheet is leave it alone. Let it do its thing.
Yeah, you're so right. One of the things that you tell people or try to teach people early on is, especially early on in the hobby, you are hyper aware of everything. And I laugh at the questions that I would ask Dave, and God love Dave, he didn't ridicule me for asking the questions, right? And of course you see them out on some of these groups and stuff all the time out there on Facebook, and we still chuckle a little bit at them. But I remember getting excited about seeing a tiny little polyp of hammer coral growing off the side of the hammer coral, and like telling Dave, like, oh man, what do I do? What do I do to make it grow? What do I do? It's like, it's like a dew claw on a dog, I mean, it's literally like, And he's like, just leave it alone. Everything's fine. Don't do anything. Or I'd say this creature's here or that one, you know. So it's good stuff. And I think everybody, and there's good point. It says Tom Honeycutt says you never master it. So that is true. You're never a master, right? You're somewhere on your way to it always, and you're always learning. You're always making mistakes, and you just make fewer mistakes as a mentor than the person that you're mentoring, and that's how you can help. So I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I think the article's a good idea too. So you guys should go out to the Reefing
Absolutely.
report and read the article.
For sure. Great. I'm all for it. I wish there was more of it. I mean, how many people do you see jump on a Facebook group or forum, and then the other people who don't know what they're talking about, and you know who they are, and they start giving them advice, and that person who came in starts listening, and you're like, oh
Yes.
no, this is not going to go well.
And worst case, then you get the telephone game on top of that, which is even worse.
Yes. So that being said, one big piece of advice that I got from a client was about power outages. And we did an article about, there's a linked article this week about an extended power outage and how this guy had solar that didn't help. Now, Terrence, you have solar on your house with the missing link, I believe, of what this guy didn't have, which was a battery. Tell us about your setup.
Yeah, oh, that's good. I forgot. I hadn't told anybody about this yet. So I have had a 9-month install of solar on my house that is still in progress, but it's running now. And I have Tesla Solar Energy, and I've got almost 16.8 kilowatts of solar on the roof, and I have 3 of the Tesla battery panels, under my house. Yeah, power walls. Yep. 2 of them have the inverters on them to come from the different strings of the solar, and one of them is just the battery. And I think each one of them might be 14 or 15 amp hours. So I've got somewhere around 52 amp hours of power. Without air conditioning running or anything on my house, that's barely enough to run it, like at this time of year, to run my house, right? For one day, right? Barely enough, okay? So if I try to run longer for reef stuff. Now, first of all, here's the first thing with power outages, right? Every place around the country is a little bit different in how power outages happen, okay? So places like California, most of the time, right, and there's a curve here, a hockey stick, most of the time power outages that happen are less than 4 hours, okay? And most of them are less than 2 hours. And the frequency of them in California is way higher than it ever should be. But they don't last very long, and they're usually caused by an overloading of a particular power station, or somebody hits a transformer in the neighborhood with a car. Something like this is generally what causes them. We don't get too much of the weather, knockout, 12 city blocks kind of things. So it's really important to be able to have maybe 6 to 12 to, as much 24 hours of power outage kind of safety stuff. If you live in Florida, now you're talking like, if you don't want to run a generator, you might need 2 days, to run off batteries or something like that. It's more, because that's more common to have these hurricanes and everything. So the battery is the key component of it, and I would never recommend to somebody to get something like I have simply to back up your reef, because it's far too expensive. If you want to do that, you can do your own little battery backup with an inverter and do that just for your reef stuff. But it is cool because it does come with this, cool little app, that you can see everything that's going on, and you can see how much energy you're producing. And right now, because they're not finished, if you look at that graph, right, you can see, if you can see it, there it is. You can see it just drops off like a cliff. That's because it basically, the batteries got done charging, and now it only can produce what the house will take, and the rest won't go back to the grid because they haven't turned on the grid part yet. But it's definitely nice to have. But solar alone will not save your reef. Okay, doesn't work.
That's
that
what the
way.
guy said he said that in the article, and he actually did what you recommended, which is ran off an inverter on his car. And I talked about this in a saltwater aquarium series a while ago. And yes, we understand that's not the most eco-friendly thing to do, which is run your car to run a power inverter.
Sure.
And this is a extended power outage problem. You're trying to save life. We get it. So yes, it's which is what the follow-up article, which we'll post on the Reefing report after the broadcast, is they actually did build in a little gas-powered propane power generator. About 30 amps is all they got out of it. So it's not a whole house like I have. I've got 22 kW sitting outside off natural gas. So it is something, and it still amazes me the number of people who have reef tanks, especially nice reef tanks, that have no power backup plan whatsoever at all.
Yeah.
It just kills me. It's just like nuts. Like at the very least, have a power inverter that you can run off your car.
Or, you know, or don't care. I mean, it's like, okay, have all your stuff go away. And that, what kind of a, you know, what kind of a, you know, we're going to be looked at as keepers of animals, right? For this hobby, is it, if you haven't done something like this? And the one little secret I will give people that I haven't done it yet, it's a project I've got forthcoming. You actually, for what I think is relatively inexpensive for what some of our more costly, larger reef tanks cost, a solution by putting together a lithium-ion battery, or you can get an AGM battery. I wouldn't go to wet cells, along with an RV inverter converter charger unit that you can buy basically off of eBay or wherever. It's a box that basically will charge the batteries, and it also has an automatic transfer switch, you know, built into it. And you can hook that up and actually hook your power coming into where your reef stuff in as the shore power, which would be like the RV has, right? So RVs have, if you plug them in at an RV park, that's your shore power, and that's what will take the precedence. But if that shore power goes out, it'll flip over to the, you know, to the next thing. And the inverter with the batteries will be that. And you know, you can get for a few $100s, maybe $400 or $500, a used one of those inverter converters. I think Hart makes one and a few others. And you can, you know, for a few $100s, get an AGM or a couple of AGM batteries and really run your stuff well. And then also do things like have one set of things on your Apex, like one energy bar on just that with the things that matter the most. So the rest of the stuff in the reef just gets dead. It's not running anymore. And that thing is running the key parts of it off of the batteries. So there you go, in a nutshell.
There you go. Reef Girl wanted to know what kind of whole house generator I have. I have a Kohler. I was told by several Generac dealers in my area, don't buy a Generac, including some friends who had personal experiences with them. So I went Kohler. I have already used it twice in short power outages, but when everyone else is freaking out because it was a very cold day or a very hot day, and you're sitting there. In my case, I was warming up my hot tub when the power was out when it was a cold day. And then when everyone else doesn't have AC in Tennessee in the middle of August, the hottest day of the year, and you're just like, and you don't have to worry about your tank. It's great.
Yeah, for sure. I did have, let's see here. Another question. Oh, Burnt Squirrel says, are there options for a heater with a battery backup? I doubt it. Heaters are the largest power consumers on your reef, depending on how big your reef is, and it would not last very long on a battery. So if you happen to be, my suggestion there is if you happen to be in a cold area that also might have natural gas, look at a solution like I have, which is using water, a hot water solution to basically heat your tank, right? Using circulating hot water through your house. That would be the way to do it, and then in a power outage you wouldn't have an issue. So you can still heat your tank.
True.
There you go.
All right.
I think
it's that time, Terrence.
Okay.
I think it's a time to talk about what we saw this weekend.
Okay.
We've come to the bottom half of the show. Let's talk about the bottom half of the week. Aquatic Expo in Atlanta, Georgia this past weekend.
Okay. So a few things. So let's first talk about the event. So I think first of all, overall, I just want to say I enjoyed the event. A lot of the great people that I know in the reef keeping hobby were there, which makes it so fun. And I did see some cool stuff at the event. But I believe that branding it a MACNA type event was a kind of a mistake because it sets an element in your head of what you're going to experience. And for those people who maybe either didn't get the memo, or maybe they never went to a MACNA and thought this would be the first cool MACNA that they could go to, wow, that's going to be an incredible disappointment. So I think that was a mistake. I mean, they called it the MACNA Aquatic Expo, but there were a decent number of vendors. Disappointed I didn't see enough major companies, right? So I'll list off the major companies, and then maybe Mark, you can then list off who you were surprised wasn't there. Okay.
Okay, you first.
So you like how I did that. Seache was there, Reef Nutrition was there, Carib Sea was there, Coral View was there with the hydro stuff. Biota was there. Let's see, who else can I get? Sarah was there. Help me out. Thinking of all the big companies. SpectraPure was there, kind of, in a little thing, which is kind of. Who else? Fritz Salt was there. I'm trying to go through my whole memory here. Who else was big that was there? Pantaray, I guess, maybe. But I mean, it's kind of a name. The Marco Rocks was there. Saltwateraquarium.com was there.
Oh, finally! Gosh, it only took what, 2 minutes for him to get there. Gee.
And who did I leave out? I'm sure I left out a couple people, so I hope they're not mad at me. But who wasn't there? One for sure. I just saw it. Tom Honeycutt just said it. Planet Aquarium was not there.
And let's be fair, Tom. Take It Easy, Extreme Corals was not there either. Okay, so who else? Big one names that weren't there. Neptune Systems wasn't there. Ecotech wasn't there. Is that the question then is, were they planning on coming and then thought, no, there's going to be great attendance, we're going to pull out, and is that a good idea, or were they never planning on coming, period? We don't know. I have no idea information on that.
What I can comment on is, from a Terence perspective, right? There's two ways this could have gone for me as far as this event, as with me being in the Neptune Systems world when I probably would have looked at it and said, wow, that looks pretty weak, right? And then I would have said, well, there are some good people there, and I really want to support the Mazda guys. So we'll go in kind of a reduced kind of aspect, right? We might not send as many people as we would otherwise. We might put up a smaller booth or what have you. That's one way it would have gone. And at the same time, it would have given me ammo to basically twist the MACNA guys for more benefits at the next one, when I'm like, you really want me to be there, right? Oh, what are you going to do for me? Because that's the way it goes, right? It's business. So they could have gone that way. Or the other way it could have gone is I would have said, this thing's going to be just totally weak. We're not going to go, but we'll send one or two people just to kind of walk the show or whatever. Now, if it went the second way, I would have been upset with myself that I didn't go the first way. And that's the honest to God truth. Because if I had the impression that this wasn't going to be worth it enough to do anything at, I'm telling you from being here, it would have been worth a smaller presence, I think, from those companies. I think it says something to not be there at events like this, to support Mazda and to be there for the customers and to kind of network with people there. But they're not the only ones. Who else wasn't there? I mean, CChem wasn't at the event, right?
But they haven't come to MACNAs in years.
That's true. I think there's some sort of drama around that. But I mean, it's worth mentioning because they are a significant player. Who else wasn't there?
Yeah. I mean, AI wasn't there. If Ecotech's not going to be there, and AI isn't going to be there. I mean, you kind of suspect that one. I mean, it's a small industry, right? Like Bulk Reef doesn't go to trade shows anymore, so I'm not surprised that they're not there. But otherwise, you got people that were there, and I think there's 2 points to what you were saying about connecting with people. One, is if there's less people there, then if you are there as an attendee, then you get less competition for talking to the vendors and really get an intimate one-on-one experience because there's not a line of people waiting to talk to them, and the vendor isn't worn out from talking to 50 people before
That's the
10
point.
a.m.
Yeah.
And I don't want. I'm
Two
not
Little
complaining
Fishies.
as a
Two
potential
Little
vendor.
Fishies wasn't there
Oh,
either. That's, I think, a big deal
Little
too,
Fishies.
because I mean, he's all about Mazda and
Mazda.
you know, and
Yep.
networking and all of that stuff. So I haven't talked to Julian to find out why he decided not to, you know, to go there. And was one other in here. Oh, and Tom says he's going to be in Milwaukee. So there you go. Yeah, and there's a lot of reasons to come to an event like this for both attendees and exhibitors, no doubt. And it's different too between this show, for instance, Reefapalooza. They're more closely aligned in some ways than say Aquashella. So, you know, from a marketer's perspective, Aquashella for me always was, you know, couples with their 3-year-olds and their strollers and coming in and seeing Nemo and pretty fishes and lights and sounds and, you know, watching stuff happen and all of that, and kind of, you know, not as much on coming to an event to spend a roll of cabbage. You know, I mean, that's really what happens in Reefapalooza, and what happens here is these people come to the event and they're there to spend. They're there. They've saved their money. They know they're going to come to the event. They're hoping to get a deal. They're hoping to get a cool coral. They're hoping to, that's why they come to these kind of events. So if you are a vendor at a smaller event, sometimes you can do a little bit better if you've got what the people are looking for.
And I would say that's the unofficial numbers I've heard from talking to people was the spend was very good from people who attended.
Yeah. I think that as always, some people do well, some people don't. I spoke to some people that had some things that they usually sell large amounts of, like flower anemones, that they sold very few of, very, very few of. So, but that's not necessarily indicative of anything, and you know, but maybe a local taste or ups and downs or what have you. But there definitely was some cool stuff there. I saw a really neat Chicago anemone at Frost Corals that was just gorgeous. It was huge. They never cut it or let it split or whatever. Had these? Did you see it? These long tentacles, and they were thick tentacles, right? With all the color, bright color.
Yep.
And that was pretty spectacular. There's a bunch of acanthophylias that look really cool that were there that I never can get because I have heniochus. So I saw a really nice Heliofungia there, and then there's Biota who was there, which was great. I mean, that was a stellar booth. It
was on many levels.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to give a poke to Richard Back from Aficionado, because he clouded up their tank evidently, but he'd get mad at me for explaining that. But they had the beautiful tank there. They had the yellow tangs there, which are kind of their signature. They had another tank that was the only thing in it. And by the way, I've got a lot of this stuff, and Mark does as well, for both the Saltwater Aquarium channel and my Real Reefing channel that I've got content for that'll be coming out soon. But their main tank there that they had with all of their stuff in it. Did you see they had a DeYoungie in there? They had
a tank that was nothing but captive bred stuff, and you're like, wait, that's captive bred? Wait, that's captive bred? Like, why didn't I hear about this? Or you forgot. Then you start looking around and you're like,
I'm getting a little bit of goosebumps, because it was so encouraging to see this tank and to know that everything in there is sustainable stuff, right? And I don't think it got the credit that maybe it was due. I saw it after I interviewed them, or I would have had more of a talk about it, I think, because I didn't really pay that kind of attention to it. But it had a Regal Angel in there that was, no joke, 1 inch.
Yep.
1 inch Regal Angel.
He was happy as can be, pecking around, looking at you.
Yeah, it was just,
it was great,
the greatest. And then I found out, you know, some of the stuff on the horizon, and got super excited. One fish that I've had before that they never do well, that is just a beautiful fish, is the square side or square spot Anthias.
Squarebacks. Yep.
Or whatever. It's basically the one with the beautiful pink square on the side. It almost looks like it's asking for somebody to take a Sharpie and like put their initials on it or something, or check the box.
Check the box. Yep,
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
it's just, they're just such beautiful creatures, but they don't do well. They don't eat. They come in stressed, and evidently that is on the horizon from those guys.
That's
So
great. I mean, it was so cool to see everything in there because what 5 years ago, definitely 10 years ago, it was like clownfish and bang-eye cardinals, which you got to start somewhere. But it
right.
was like that was it. That was our big captive breeding success story. And now it's like, oh, Regal Angelfish, Majestic Angelfish, these gobies, these clams, like
Rainford eyes,
awesome.
beautiful Rainford eyes in
Yep.
there. And
Yep.
they're, and they're what do you call it? The target. Why am I having a blank?
Target mandarins.
Mandarins.
Green target mandarins.
Yeah, the green
Yep.
target mandarins. Those things eat regular food, so you can
Yep.
actually have one in your tank. And one of the things that I asked them was, they're going to be more expensive. Okay, they're going to be $70 instead of $25 or whatever. So what, right? All the reasons why they're going to be better. They're going to live actually and be in your tank longer. But then I was like, well, people are going to be concerned because they're buying them like an inch long from you guys compared to those big, chunky, meaty, wild caught ones. And they told me, well, those things will triple in size in like a month and a half.
Yeah. They
If
grow
they're fed
fast.
correctly. And I'm like, okay, there you go, sold. So
Do it. It was great. It was great to see that success and just look at the tank. I mean, one level, it's like it was a cool tank, some big clams and the fish running around there. That little Regal, it wasn't nipping at any corals, but he was having
right,
fun nipping at all the live rock.
he was
And
he
the
was
more you sat there
chewing on the clam, but I don't think it was on the mantle. I think it was like getting algae
on
or
the edge,
something off
on
of
the
the edges. Yeah.
yeah, and it was the more you sat there, the more stuff came out, and you're like, "What? We do this too? I didn't know we could get this now, and you can
Yeah.
get that." And you're just like, awesome. I think that was to me the highlight of the show was
I
just
agree.
seeing that and seeing everything that was in there. And then, you see that and then you flip over to talking to the pet advocacy guys, the pie chat guys,
Hmm.
and you're like, oh, that's right. We still have the Competes Act thing hanging out there
Yep.
and talking to them and getting their take on it. And you're like, this could all go away. No
Yeah.
matter how successful that is, this could go away.
Yeah, and as we've said many times, thankfully the biota guys are push, 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 and it won't all be like that, and I don't think it should all be like that forever because you can sustainably also collect, but you now can point to the fact that everything that can be done this way and is being worked on, and we're headed that direction, and all the other reasons it's good. So yeah, it's definitely cool. And they also had one other thing that they were showing off there too. That is kind of soft launching soon, I think. Yeah, you heard it here.
No, you heard what? Vague booking with Terence Fugazi.
Yeah,
Something's launching.
yeah. So I think it's we're in post-COVID time, or hopefully in transitioning out of COVID time now, and so 2 years that never counted, right? So I think it must have been 4 or 5 years ago. The biota guys, one of the first things they ever did was a curated purchase of a small aquarium thing, so that if you wanted to get into the aquarium hobby, right, you could basically sign up for this kind of subscription service where they'd send you the tank, they'd send you rock, they'd send you salt mix, they'd send you, they have people on the phone that could help you out. You set up the tank, you pour in the bacteria, you wait for it to cycle. Once it's cycled and you got the one test, you don't have ammonia or whatever, then they send you the first livestock, right? They send you whatever it might be. I don't know if it was clownfish or it was rainford eye gobies or whatever,
Yep.
that they send you, and then they send you another thing and another thing. And so it's kind of like a little subscription kind of thing until you get your tank going. It didn't take off. I'm sure there's a number of reasons why. I can only imagine. But supposedly they're going to try it again. So they had a couple of cool nano tanks there at the show. And they didn't have much detail on it, but look, getting more people into the hobby, all for it. So
And hope them having success and kind of through a mentor-ish type of thing because they have someone they can call on.
exactly.
And then they have captive bred fish, which are usually hardier and doing better. And it only, as I've said, no one goes out and very, very few people go out and buy 180-gallon tank as their first tank. They're probably going to start with a 55. And if you don't have success at that level, you're not going to go to the next level.
That's correct. Yep, absolutely. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But definitely, I think it was the highlight, as you said, of the event in terms of bringing stuff out and really seeing something new and something cool. So 100%.
But as we have success with our tank, we want to sell stuff and trade stuff, which usually means outside of your geographical area, which Terrence, you saw kind of what I knew was there, but you saw it from a different eye and you're like, oh, I'm all about this thing. Do it. Sign me up.
I've never heard of these guys, right? Go figure. Okay. But it's Ship Your Aquatics. They have like Ship Your Reptiles and everything else too, right? And they were at the event. And the biggest hurdle I have, right? I share all the stuff in my tank. I have no problem with it, right? If somebody wants to call me up a couple of days ahead of time, say, hey, Terrence, I'm going to be in Gilroy. Can I get a couple of frags off of whatever? I'm probably going to tell you, yeah, no problem. Stop on by, right? Because that's just the way it, it's the way the hobby needs to be. And it is for a lot of people. But if you get me on a DM or whatever, say, Terrence, man, I saw that, that picture up on social media of your Pearlberry, Acropora or whatever, man. Can you send me out a frag of that and a frag of whatever? I'll pay you for it. I'm like, dude, I don't need the money, but it is a hassle. And I just don't like hassles. I don't like taking the time. And I'm going to have to go find a box. I'm going to have to find, is it cold out? I got to get a heat pack. How many heat packs do I need? How many cold packs do I need? Cups, all of this stuff. I've got to then, bring it together. And then I've got to go deal with FedEx. And then I go look at FedEx and it's like, oh, it's $55 or whatever. And oh man, they want $20 for a pickup or whatever the numbers are. And I got to go get it over there. It's just a nightmare. And so these guys basically are like a one-stop shop. And, you go to them, you can go on their site, you can get the boxes with the foam inserts in multiple sizes. You can get the freezer packs, the heat packs, the cups, the bags. You can get all the supplies that you need, or you don't have to use them. You can use your own stuff if you want to. But then when you go to ship, you use their website. They already are qualified for shipping aquatics because you have to get a qualification for this with FedEx, which I didn't even know in order to kind of do it right. You can get insurance on it. They'll insure your corals. Okay. So if they arrive dead because of it took 3 days to get there or 2 days to get there, which is now happening more and more with FedEx. You can cover it with insurance, and you're going to get like a 30% discount, sometimes as much as 40% discount off of whatever rates you pull up on FedEx. And so this is the greatest thing ever. I like to bank corals. Like I want to go send Mark, right, a few of my corals and bank them, but I'm just lazy and I don't want to do it. Now I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to do it. So there you go.
Yeah, and if I knew I was going to get stuff from Terrence, I'd probably have to gather the shipping containers that are in a storage unit, gather the bags, make him a little package. I've experienced with his clients. They're like, oh, I'd love to send you this. Same thing, kind of bank corals, or I'm at their tank like, oh, I'd like to have that. I'm not going to try to carry it on the plane because I don't roll that way. And then I'm like, oh, well, ship it to me. Like exactly what Terrence said. Like, I got to get this, got to get this. So they end up making them a care package, and then I send them a label. And then they're like, oh, I got to take it to FedEx. And you're like, this makes it so much easier.
Yeah. And like a 6x6 box, right? You get 20 of them for $66. And I think that might include the shipping to come to me. I don't remember. But with the foam and everything else, and it's ready to go. And if somebody wants, my coral and I want to sell some coral or whatever, I add a couple of dollars to it for the box charge, or I guess increase the price. I'm not a coral selling dude. So it just seemed like a great idea. So
I think I need to send you a box, Terrence, and you can bank some corals over here.
Yeah, I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. I've got a few things you're gonna want. So.
Oh, I know. I've seen the tank, and when we break it down to upgrade it.
There we go.
That's one of my best pieces of advice for upgrading your tank is bank out your corals just in case.
Yeah.
There you go. Make it easy.
I've got my hybrid coral that's only been banked with like 2 other people so far, which is that dual polyp colored Acropora that I have. So there you go.
There you go. All right. So last thoughts concluding the night on Aquatic Expo. Anything else you saw that maybe wasn't the cream of the crop but was notable?
Notable. I mean, I saw a lot of stuff. Some of it I've seen before. Some of it, there's new pods from Reef Nutrition. So smaller size for smaller animals, smaller fish. They're called pack pods. They come from the North Pacific Ocean. I know.
I covered this like 3 months ago on saltwateraquarium.com, Terrence.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Maybe more than that. But anyway. Okay. I'm glad you found out about it. That's good.
Okay. So tell me all about it then. Anyway, I didn't know, and when I went to the show, that's what they had. So there you go.
There you go. All right. So that would be fair.
What about you?
Oh, good question. So, I mean, one thing that's not relevant to anyone in the hobby, but it's cool, was Pantaray had this, like, I don't remember, a million liters an hour power head that was like 3 of their 75 power heads, like molded together. Oh, yeah. Like no one in your public aquariums hardly can handle this thing. But it was like cool to see, especially when this German guy with like tattoos, like, there's the pump. And you're like, oh.
No, you know what it reminded me of? I thought it was like a cross between Castle Wolfenstein and Duke Nukem, like the BFG, you know, because you had him there, right? And then you had this big old thing that just looked like it was going to blast somebody. And so I had an interview with Joe Cap and had that, and I was holding on to it too. It was like really good.
But all I could think was like a big like Nerf gun like type of thing.
Sure.
That's what it looked like to me. But that was cool. You know, there's a guy that I saw his booth and I didn't go talk to him about, but he will ship you live mysid shrimp. So I thought that was cool. Maybe like treat your fish, or if you have
I talked to him too. I talked to him as well, and I still can't figure that one out because it seems like a lot of money to feed fish. Okay, so unless I had like, I don't know, a $1,500 fish or something that just wouldn't eat right when I got it, I don't know. Or I had leafy sea dragons, I don't see it because, you know, he said they might breed in my tank, and some of you guys out there can talk about this in the comments if you want. But you know, they're going to get eaten by lots of stuff and eat each other, and probably are not going to breed prolifically enough, even in my sump, to keep them going. And one box, which had 3,000 mysid shrimp in it, was $185 shipped. So do the math on that. Okay. I'm like, that's got to be some pretty impressive fish. So
I mean, okay. I was thinking like I would just try it because I like spoiling fish. You know, it'd be cool to like watch them go nuts. But
the only thing more expensive than that are the Reef Nutrition Arctic pods. Okay, as far as live food, where I'm sure they're awesome. Or not Arctic pods. What are the pods that they have? I got the wrong one. Whatever the live ones are in the water.
Arctic pods.
Are they Arctic pods? Okay. Anyway, those things are awesome. But can you imagine once you strain those out, how much they weigh and how much they cost at retail? It's the most expensive animal food on the planet, probably, by weight.
Maybe more than I interviewed a reefer once who flew in lobster eggs for his reef. That's got to be more. But anyway, that was.
So I got one last. I got one last thing. I got to give a shout out to Francois over at Elos. It's not fish related. We did bring Teddy to the event. Let's pull back the big screen here. Let's see. Bring Teddy over here. We'll have Teddy on camera for a second here, and I'll give a plug. Careful with the camera. Careful. All right, come here, buddy. Oh, so this is Teddy. For those of you who haven't seen Teddy, he was at the event today. He actually sat through a planted talk. Okay. Yes. So good. Freshwater planted talk, and he's a good boy.
He didn't pee on anything?
Nope. And Francois saw him. Okay, and look at this. Whoop, camera over here. They have treats out of Italy that Francois is distributing now that Teddy absolutely loved. And so big thank you to him. These are called Beauty. They're made with flaxseed and something else. And then there are these little plug for his 95% real turkey out of Italy snacks that are here. So Teddy loved them. And Teddy's going to say bye now.
If they're that good, Terrence, why don't you eat one and tell us about it?
Let me see. You really want me to eat one? It's 95% turkey. It's got to taste good, right? I'll do it for the fans.
Turkeys in
I'll do it for the
Tennessee?
fans. If they give me good comments, I'll take a bite. I'll take a bite. Here, if the fans want it, I will definitely. I'll definitely give it.
Look, there's live turkeys all over Tennessee.
I mean, if it's good enough for him, it's got to be good enough for me. You know, something like that. So, question was, where is it? What kind of dog is Teddy? Oh, there's this thing about salt too. So that one's out there.
Oh yeah. I passed it on to the higher ups.
What kind of dog is Teddy? Teddy is actually a Russell Terrier. And I have to explain this to everybody. He is not a Jack Russell Terrier. There's Jack Russell Terriers, there's Russell Terriers, and there's Russell Terriers. That's hard to say. And so he is a Russell Terrier. And let's see here. Let's see if we're going to I'm gonna take a bite. It's got no salt, I'm sure. So but it's 95% turkey, which means it's 5% something else, which I don't want to know before I take a bite. Here it goes. Water on standby.
I should think you should have a stiff drink on standby. Oh, he's taking another bite.
I gotta do it for real. This is what they look like.
It looks like a chicken nugget from here.
Look at them. Here, wait.
There you go, Teddy. Hey, don't tease the dog. Give him the whole thing, Nancy. Come on. Oh, there you go. Slam the water. Okay, with that.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for being here on the Reefing Report Sunday night Aquatic Expo wrap-up edition. Thanks again for the Patreons. We will be back next Sunday night. Where Terrence, are you going to be home next Sunday night, or are you still going to be on the road?
Next Sunday I will be home, and I probably won't eat another dog treat. It's kind of gritty.
All right. Well, then you can get yourself go eat some soul food or some hot chicken.
Come
up to Nashville and eat some hot chicken.
I don't even know where I'm going to sleep tonight. I'm still here in the parking lot, and I haven't even decided where I'm going to go and park this thing and go to sleep. So maybe I'll go up to MRC and park in his lot or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Nah, I got a good breakfast place for you, not from there. So I'll text you that. Don't go too far because it's a really good breakfast place.
Big thanks to all you guys once again for watching. And check out the site, reefingreport.com. Please tell your friends about it. Put it out on the social media to go to the website. If you feel like supporting us, please do. Yeah, maybe that'll be part of the Patreon thing. You know, for every person who signs up through Patreon, I'll eat a different dog treat. That's how desperate I am. Anyway, until next time, this is the Reefing Report. Take care.